Really good, thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, very well. Yeah,
But I
yeah.
really appreciate you doing this
No,
because,
that's fine. Absolutely no problem at all. No, anything I can do to help is absolutely fine.
no, absolutely. Because firstly, it's nice for us to be able to kind of meet face to face.
Yeah,
The team watch these videos
yeah,
after, so it's nice for them to kind of get feedback from customers
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that they
Yeah.
don't ordinarily see. So
No, I mean we used
it's
to do
really
lots of
nice.
market research and get lots of individual customers in rooms and video and feedback. So it's a similar thing. So I know how beneficial it can be. So hopefully what I can say today is actually beneficial to you. So whether you can use it or not, but we'll give it a go.
No, of course. So, I mean, if to kick us off, if you wouldn't mind,
Yeah,
sort of, I guess, taking me through how you came across us,
yeah,
why you considered using us over other companies,
yeah,
your
yeah.
sort of journey up until using
It
us.
Yeah, it was a typical situation of home selling, if you like, in the fact that I'd been in my present house. It was my old family house. I'd been there for 27 years, so I hadn't used an estate agent for 27 years. I've never had a very good. I've always been in financial services. I've never had a very good view of estate agents, traditional. Um, so it was new to me after 27 years to put the house back on the market. Now I put it on with the local estate agent, and at that point in time, the house I was offered the asking price within 2 weeks. All right,
Oh wow, yeah,
and the house was going through, um, and it was going through and going through and going through, and eventually we had a situation whereby we had 2 weeks to go to a supposedly completion date and exchange date and completion date, and the buyers at the bottom fell out or pulled
oh
out,
dear,
so the
that's a shame.
chain collapsed. Now that was just at the time when Liz Truss um, did a mini budget, and so it was
To
just
hear,
you could
yeah,
not time it any worse. But interesting during that period of time, and I think this is probably interesting for you guys. Um, as soon as you put your house on the market as an individual, you're bombarded by local estate agents, national estate agents saying, "We see your house in the market. Can we help? Or if you don't have any success, come back to us." So all of those were put to one side, including things from British Homebuyers, etc. Um, anyway, so from that point onwards, obviously very, very disappointed. From that point onwards, I had a series of estate agents, and they were all within a radius of about 5 miles of the house. Everybody promising the earth, everybody promising that they had loads of people there to buy houses, etc. All wanting to lock you in as on a sole contract and for as long as possible. And X fees. So we went through. I think I probably went through 4 agents over a period of time,
wow,
to a point where one of them, and I say I've had 35 years in financial services. One of them, area manager, fantastic guy, rapport superb. Um, we went live with them, and in a 12-week period, not one contact from the estate agent, not
wow,
one viewing, nothing. And I was purposely holding back with this guy after all the promising to say, when is this guy going to tell? And when he did eventually contact me, or so I contacted them to give them my views of what was going on. And it was the worst service I've ever seen.
oh
So
dear,
anyway,
oh
so
dear,
during that period of time, lots of things happening with the mortgage market, lots of things happening with interest rates, and they were going up and up and up and up. Activity was going down across the market, and I toyed. I got to a point of toying to put the house on for rental, and I'm thinking I've just had enough of this. I cannot deal with another estate agent, and I was looking through 2 or 3 letters from different companies like yourself, and I gave yourselves a call and just said, look, I understand, because I think early days I actually contacted a company that would be willing to buy the house, and their recommendation was to me, Neil, you've got a lovely house there, blah blah blah, executive house, and don't do it. Just literally don't. I can give you X amount of money for it, but don't do it. and I appreciated the honesty there. So I never thought I'd go down that type of. The thing that stood out with yourselves was the options. So I picked up the phone, discussed various options with you, and that was obviously the ability to buy or the ability to market or whatever. And that was where you were, where I seemed to find you were different to the market. Um, so um, so I sat on it, and after about 2 or 3 weeks, I came back to yourselves and said, "Let's give it a go." And that was how we got to you. But it was originally the marketing letter. I'd never heard of you, and most people I've spoken to afterwards have never heard of British Home Buyers. And even when it went online, people were saying, "Who are they?" And I was just going across whether a national company, blah blah blah, national exposure, etc., etc. So it's a different way. Yeah.
Excellent. And how did you find from joining to, the service thereafter?
I think the service was what I expected and what was agreed. So, and I did feedback to Alex afterwards, and I did say to him that if I had one thing I would recommend to change is that when you're selling your house, you have got no idea. You've got masses of stats of how many people are viewing your property and online. Just looking at details. That isn't apparent to me. So a weekly call just to say nothing is more
Yeah.
important than not doing anything, because we will just sit here and we will be frustrated. And every time you go down to the pub or a restaurant with your friends and say, "Well, nothing, I know nothing," and so that would. But so yes, the communication. I was happy with the service required that you gave. Could it be improved? Yeah, it could be improved
Yeah.
for the end user. Yeah.
Excellent. No, and it's we love getting good feedback, but obviously,
Yeah.
more importantly, areas we can improve is almost
Yeah.
the more important feedback to get
Yeah,
because
and I think the thing I said to Alex, the best thing I always say to people is that if you look at me as a customer, my first comment to him was that after the experience of using yourselves, I would never use a traditional estate agent again, and I would recommend
wow,
you guys all the time. That probably
wow,
says how I feel about
yeah,
how I
yeah,
think it went. And yes, there can always be improvements. I don't. I used to deal with mass sales teams, and I always say I don't ever expect anybody to get 10 out of 10 because there's always something you can do better. But as the system, as the process went through, it was pretty damn good. Yeah.
amazing. And were there any kind of elements of it that stood out, or any people that stood out? Um,
Um, I think the contacts I had with the teams were. I mean, Alex was brilliant, especially when you get to the latter ending of we get with the offers and that process on, and even to the point of the thing that was really reassuring to me, which I'll always say to anybody, and that is that after dealing with a number of estate agents, whatever anybody says about the estate agent, or the market, the property market in England, you are always exposed, i.e., that you're always reliant on that chain coming through. And if it falls down, you've incurred costs.
yeah,
So the thing that I liked about it with yourselves was that um, I could be reassured that if you were putting somebody across to me to view the property, um, they were in a position to move forward. That is a key thing for me. Oh, sorry.
no,
Um,
no,
and
sorry, go on.
no, and secondly, it was if they did make that, or we agreed a figure and accepted a figure, it was that ability to have. They had to make a financial commitment
Yeah.
up front, which if they pulled out for various reasons, there would be something coming back to me. Now, again, there'll always be caveats on that and all those sort of things, but that was really, really reassuring, and that's something that's different to the marketplace.
Absolutely. I mean, buyers that pay reservation deposits, we've actually measured it
Yes,
against those that don't. And it's
yes,
something like 4 or 5 times more likely the sale falls
yes,
through if the buyer doesn't
yeah,
pay it.
yeah, 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 yeah,
So it's
yeah,
just monumentally important.
Yeah.
for
And when
for
the
the reasons
offer,
you've
when
used
we,
us for that security.
yes, yeah, and when the offer came in, and again, I can give you a direct comparison here. Um, Literally, when I had my first offer with the local estate agent, um, we were using local solicitors, and obviously the solicitor won't do anything until they get the property sale form from the estate agent.
Yeah.
Um, it took my solicitor 2 weeks to receive that form from my local estate agent. And I was sitting there going, well, the market isn't that buoyant at that point in time. Um, Now, if I look at what you guys did, when I agreed there was a bit of negotiation first thing on a Friday morning, if I can remember correctly, with Alex. Alex was going back to the potential buyers. We agreed a figure. Within minutes, um, the details were with my solicitor was emailing me back to say that they'd had instructions, and it was
Excellent.
like
Yeah.
it was worlds apart. Yeah. So it's that sort of, it's the speed. So because of that, and because you'd had a lot of information up front, um, we were, if it wasn't, it was down to the buyers then, but we were in a position to sell that property within 2 months of offer. Now, in the end, it was exactly 3 months because the first time buyers at the bottom were on holiday and wanted to delay a month. But everything was in place so incredibly quickly, which was dramatically different to my experience with local estate agents. Yeah. So that part of the
Amazing.
business you've got off to a T. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. And I guess kind of finally,
Hmm.
what advice would you give to someone who's watching this that's maybe
Yeah.
thinking about using us? Will be where you were at the beginning of the process. What
Yeah.
advice would you give them, or
I
what would you
would
encourage them to think about?
I would say you're always going to be told that you use a local estate agent because they've got the best knowledge of the area. Um, and I would never have even considered yourselves as a national, if you like. My point now is that I would recommend you from day one. And I would have no hesitation in recommending and utilising you again because the service is you've got the resources there where the local estate agents sell the concept, but they haven't got the resources. So I think that for me is the thing. And to be honest, again, if I get that letter through, when I got the letter through, um, it was literally my first instinct is not to even consider it and put it onto a pile. Um, and you're always in the back of your mind, you're always thinking, well, can they? Could they? But you're not comfortable with it. And you think the starting point is that they're going to offer you a ridiculous figure here, which you're mad to take. So you don't even make the phone call. So I think the crucial thing for me is to understand that companies like you have different ways of offering your service and don't always think that it's just a cash buy. Because if it's just a cash buy, they won't use you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well,
But
honestly, thank you so much because
no, I say hopefully it helps. I mean, whether it's internal, external, but I think from me to you, you can't get any more a better recommendation to say that if I sell a house again, the first point of call will be you guys again,
amazing.
and just just don't don't get driven down the line of thinking you have to use that local estate agent because again a lot of people like me they're not. I used to sell in the early days. I would sell my house every 3 years. I hadn't sold a house for 27 years, so my knowledge of the market or the knowledge of what happens was pretty rusty. So again, all credit to you guys for giving the options. All right.
No, amazing. Honestly, thank you. I think the team are going to really enjoy watching this because
Yeah.
you've given some very fair feedback as well.
Yeah.
on communication, things like that. So I'm looking forward to the team watching this, and
Yeah.
obviously for
Brilliant.
people considering us, it really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
And although the sale is is finished, wrapped up, if
Yeah.
any questions, any loose ends, always free to
Yeah.
contact us. It's never
Yeah.
an issue.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time as well. All right. And all the very best for the future. All right.
Yeah, you too.